Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Type Zoe and today I have a bit of a special treat for you guys. This is the first edition of the Simply Lost Challenge that I've actually been able to record. So I'm pretty excited to be showing it. I really liked this run and got to show off a couple cool things. Nothing super fancy, but just some cool characters. It's ironically all of the Cloud of Darkness cycle event LDs all in a team together, which I thought was pretty cute. And the unit I was chosen to run for this challenge was Sabin by Kaiden Cortez, who is one of my friends and a very great content creator on his own right. He does lots of good bug testing. He's got a huge Kadaj and Core Saga type thing, the Katana Brothers. He runs some really fun characters that don't get a lot of hype, so just check him out if you haven't. I'm going to put his link in the description. And yeah, let's talk about the run a little bit. So this fight, I chose the Lufenia because it was the newest and the most difficult of the available options. So I wanted Sabin to be able to show his stuff in the most difficult fight we had. You're going to see him atop his little mountain, getting his LD buffs back on. So this fight has a Cleanse Orb, but it also has a +1 to your actions when you aren't debuffed. So this allows for no-turn strategies to both maintain the orb, which comes in very soon, around 80% health, and it also lets you be a little more creative with your building. It doesn't force you into, like, Yuna, obviously, but also the other cleansing characters like Sayador, Mog. Balthier is probably pretty tough for this one, just because his cleanses are only LD and he only has 3 of them. He does self-cleanse a little bit, I guess, so that could swap, but I don't have Balthier, so I'm like talking out of my ass here. I'm gonna try and avoid doing that. But this team uses the 6-frame buff strategy, which is what prevents all the debuffs in the first place. You're gonna see we used a base Mog call in the beginning to cleanse 2 debuffs, but it also left us some HP to trigger the Leviathan summon, which we brought instead of something offensive like Odin or Diabolos or whoever, honestly. We use Leviathan because it takes one of those framed buff slots, and all of these characters have 3-frame buffs, Queen, CoD, and Sabin. They are all getting 2 buffs from the Hope Call that I had on, I think, Cloud of Darkness had it, or Sabin had it, one of the two. And then we get the last frame buff from Leviathan, so that basically gives us 18 turns to work with the orb, which is more than enough for this team. We're going to be using our CoD burst eventually, and we also, we don't find the friendly unit for this one. I try to avoid like max power runs whenever I can, unless I'm trying to show off a really cool strat or just doing like a for fun run, but since this is a challenge, I wanted to like spice it up a little bit and make it main party only. But yeah, this team works surprisingly well together. I was a little bit worried about CoD's damage output, but as you're going to see, they cap like super reliably on their attacks for the whole fight. The follow-up needed some more juice from debuffs, I think, that I didn't really have room to run because Hope is a good call here, to be fair. It's normally you could run a standard enchanter in the party and then run a better debuff instead of Hope, so that's just kind of like a team building approach thing. But basically, CoD's main attacks are going to be pretty reliable for most of the fight. I kind of messed up my burst phase there. I should have LD'd beforehand to come in for 2 0 forms, but it doesn't end up being a super huge deal, so no skin off my back there. And I'm going to get almost 2 million, which is not bad for no prior setup and no HP damage up on the debuffs, like no Kurosame or anything like that. So you're going to see they missed their enfeeblement debuffs, which happens at the 80% and 49% thresholds. So that's why we have those 6-frame buffs, just to get around that. And these bosses also have a mechanic where they try to do the debuffs again if you have 10 turns or more without one of them getting an action, so it's really kind of a nasty fight that crept up on people a little bit, I think, and this fight wasn't super hyped for being difficult, but it's definitely been one of the more difficult and restrictive ones we've had recently. You kind of need some of the heavier DPS units like Tifa, Vaughn, or like Burst, Cloud of Darkness / Tidus to really stand a chance at turn counts and any sort of interesting team without like Yuna and stuff like that. Unifriend, to be fair, does carry a lot of the damage for this, so it's not like the worst fight we've ever had, but as you can see, we pushed one of them, or we pushed both of them past their 50% threshold, which means they use Kiraga to heal just a quick almost 2 million health again on each of them, and also getting an HP regen, so it's a really big DPS check on your roster, and Queen here not doing much personal damage, but Sabin is battering her a little bit, and the Sanctuary Keepers are very threatening, and I really think I would have liked this fight a lot more without the extra DPS check parts of it, because I feel like there was enough going on mechanically that this was a difficult enough fight without requiring the meta DPS options for more creative runs, but it's okay. I still think I enjoy this fight more than most people. A lot of people were very upset with this fight for supposedly forcing like debuff evasion not working, but I kind of understand that, but I also think that we do have other cleanse options even though they need to be carried, and stuff like the frame buff options or the HP silence options exist for a reason. Like, just because they're not cleanse related, I don't think that invalidates them from being viable solutions to the fight that should be discounted when talking about it. So I'm gonna summon here because they were coming up on some turns, and we're just gonna no-turn them because there's absolutely no reason to think about giving them a turn when they have that HP regen, and we only have a couple turns on our Jack and Hope debuffs, which are very, very important for the team to keep their damage up, especially for Cloud of Darkness, because Sabin will be doing it regardless. Queen is doing basically nothing except in her EX form. She's just there for the nice auras and giving her blue armor cap increases to CoD and Sabin. And I should probably talk about Sabin a little more, to be honest. I'm like 7 or 8 minutes into the runtime, and he is my featured unit after all. Sabin is really good, honestly. I've been very happy with his performances in all the runs I've brought him to. I've brought him to some tighter turn count runs, like the Equinox, Umbral, oh gosh, the middle one with the Arceella Mantises, the one that I no-turned, but I no-turned that with a team of Jack, Sabin, and Sarah, and the battery reductions were pretty high. The Brave damage ones weren't, but Sabin pulled his work, and they were able to clear it with no burst, no front unit, and no synergy, so that's a pretty cool run, and I think Sabin's battery goes a long way towards his party damage is... He has a very high floor, but I don't think his ceiling is super crazy. It's decent. It's not anything super special, but his battery also increases his teammate damage. He perform really well on launch themes, like with Lail, for example. If you get some consistent Sabin Aura Cannon launches with like a Lail BT effect up, that could be super, super fun, and just AoE 2-turn delay will never not be good, so I think Sabin got a little bit overlooked compared to a lot of characters, and honestly this whole cycle was just like the bad timing myth of like, oh no, Lufenia Plus is coming soon, oh no, Setzer and Agrias are coming soon. Not that Setzer and Agrias are bad characters, they're very good characters, but I really think in this game that almost everybody is good in their own right, and it's the exception to be a bad unit, but that might be a personal outlook thing, I guess, so your mileage may vary on that one, but I really don't think Sabin would disappoint you. He handled the Wave 4 of the boss rush very reliably, as long as he had a little bit of Brave damage boosters in the party on either a debuff call or in an aura form, so he had that going for him, which was before we had Setzer, but that wave ended up having a lot of orb counters anyway, so he was just one of many who were quite sufficient for that role. And these guys are coming pretty close to dead. I haven't talked about the specific mechanics because there's really not much going on. It's just kind of spamming skills and making sure to balance Cloud of Darkness's LDs. I saved a lot for the end just in case their defenses spiked again, because I didn't remember, but I think they only spiked at the 79 and 49 for this one instead of the usual 3 times, so that didn't really happen. And as you can see, we're doing some crazy damage. Got a nice 600k launch right there. And Sabin is pretty low in skills, but we're coming up on the last few turns. I think we finished this around 45 or 44, something like that, maybe? And it's a 70 turn count fight, so I feel like I could have done this burstless if I really wanted to, but because this isn't like an extreme PCC challenge or anything, I'll stick to my burst units because I don't use them enough and they kind of just collect dust and sit on my trophy case as shiny things to look at, so I really should be a bit better about using them. Queen is like a really nice CoD partner because her Ballestra lunges can milk that follow-up, and she also has just the great auras for COD's damage to be bumped up some more. And she also has the Speed Rush Thrust, which can leave breaks for COD, which I considered going there, but I had another LDs, which I just go for anyway, so I didn't really think there was a point to leaving breaks at this point. And we're going to get another huge launch for the Zero form. That's just such a satisfying button. The triple dump, super strong potencies, and the triple delay, just all around good stuff. And Sabin also had an extra LD, just kind of casually waiting, even though this fight was super overkill. I think I should have used my Mog LD call earlier because it looks, unless my math is wrong, it looks like it's increasing our damage cap, like he's a Unity character. I think it's a bug, but I don't quite remember. There's so many bug calls in this game, I have trouble remembering them all, but that's going to do it for this run of the Simply Lost Creator Challenge. Thanks, Kaiden, for challenging me. I challenged Eos, so give their channel a look, and see you next time. Bye!